Remember what I said about not trusting screen grabs, because you can't trust screen grabs. And if you do it, you're going to get burnt and you're going to get humiliated. Don't read the punchline yet. Here we go down here. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to go all the way down the inception of this Twitter thread. This morning, I come across, I don't know, the algorithm, in as much as it tries not to generate regretted user minutes. I never regret a fight won on the internet. And oftentimes I don't regret a fight lost on the internet because it means I've learned something and have bettered myself as a human, as a Twitter user. Ilhan Omar, who comes up on my feed from time to time, is replying to a person named Mila Joy. Mila loves Joe, who wrote, it's a screen grab. This, I had to double check that this tweet was accurate because I thought for a second maybe Ilhan Omar generated a fake image so that she could then dunk on the person for having said something tremendously stupid, because this tweet is tremendously inaccurate. Mila Joy, I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, says, shocking, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's net worth skyrockets to $83 million. How? Ever wonder how some politicians get rich in office? I have. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has reportedly turned $175,000 into an astonishing $83 million net worth in just 8 years. No, she hasn't. Some politicians have gained vast amounts of wealth. Ilhan Omar, in as much as she might have gained some wealth, we'll get to that, it's not true, period, full stop. So, whether or not this was someone who bought into something without verifying it or is set up to try to give fodder to the Ilhan Omars of the world so they can come back with a dunk, it's totally false. Okay, how does one make $83 million from $1.4 million? Even if she saved every penny, that's an increase of 5,900%. This isn't just numbers, it's about transparency and integrity. We need answers, not just speculation. The public deserves to know how their elected officials managed to accumulate such wealth. Well, this is true of many, many politicians. Elizabeth Warren might be one of them. Nancy Pelosi might be another. A number of them. But this is false. Ilhan Omar is by no means, by any account, worth $83 million. She's not worth $18 million. She might be worth a few $100,000, maybe, on paper. Ilhan Omar replies and says, dummy, first of all, I haven't been in Congress for 8 years, and yet my net worth isn't $83 million. I know your brain has rotten from the conspiracy theories you are consuming daily, but try not to announce your stupidity to the world. Oh, okay. My salary is $174,000 before taxes. Okay. Remember this. She's been a congresswoman since 2019, I think. It's been about not 8 years, but 7 years, give or take. My salary is $174,000 before taxes. No mention of benefits, and there are benefits galore. I don't have stock or own a home and still paying off my student debt. So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my public financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone millions. And before I forget, not everyone is as corrupt as the man you worship. Oh, that's a smack. But Ilhan, thank you very much for giving me the idea to go check public financial statements. And I did. And what I found will shock you. Okay, we're not even going to get to this yet. These are literally the financial disclosures. I gave the link in there so that, don't trust screen grabs, but the link is there. Ilhan Omar. And first of all, by the way, I'll get to it all afterwards. Look at this. It's amazing. Ilhan Omar, Minnesota District 5, I guess. Annual report 2023, 0514, filing date 2024. Okay. Assets and unearned income. Pay attention to these names and remember them. Here you got Ameriprise Retirement. Okay, she got a retirement fund, 1 to 50,000 tax deferred. Okay. Ameriprise Retirement, IRA. Okay, 1 to 15,000. Congressional Credit Union Savings Account. Okay, not sure what that is. Estcru, ESTCRU LLC. Remember this name, people. It's a winery in Santa Rosa, California. Some of you might already know where this is going. Oh, the value of her asset in that is $15,000 to $50,000, and it's partnership income. So she's partnership or receiving partnership income via the actual partner, who may or may not happen to be her second husband. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. In a winery in which her husband is a founding partner in Est Cru, which, by the way, in French means east, and cru means raw or uncooked. But there's also Grand Cru for wine. So you have, I forget what it stands for. All right, then you got Vanguard Development Markets Index Funds. Okay. She's got 1 to 15,000. Vanguard Emerging Markets Index Funds, 1 to 15,000. Vanguard Total Bond Market, 1 to 15,000. And it generates some passive revenue. Let's go down here. What do we got here? Okay, we got more Vanguard ETF, whatever these things are. Minnesota Target Retirement Group. Oh, yeah. Okay, then we got Rose Lake Capital, LLC. Partnership income. Income between 15,000 and 50,000. Remember that name, Rose Lake Capital LLC, limited liability company or corporation. Who might be that company? Maybe her husband's. Who knows? And that's about it. Okay, and then the rest of this here. Oh, sorry, that's right. Student loan, 15,000 to 50,000. Credit card debt, 15,000 to 50,000 onto whatever this might be. It looks like, no, 2 different cards. Okay, I'm keeping that in the backdrop because I don't want to lose it. I see that she still has student debt, and the amount of the student debt was, what was it? 15 to 50,000. Okay. She went to North Dakota University. I just went, look these things up. North Dakota University, studied there for 5 years, graduated in 2011. $15,000 a year for an out-of-state undergrad. It's a little less for a graduate student, but let's just say that she was $15,000 a year tuition, and let's just say it's $15,000 a year to live. For 5 years, that's $30,000 a year times 5. Oh, good. Now I'm blanking up, but I'm such an idiot. 30,000, 60, 90, 120, 150. 150,000. Graduated in 2011. Why is all of this relevant? In the replies to that, hold on, we got to bring up my reply, actually. I'm sorry. Before I call you a liar, I just want to know certain things. It seems from the financial disclosures that you do have stocks. Exhibit attached, particularly holdings in Vanguard. Am I wrong? Did you mistweet? Also, not to be judgmental, but with a salary of $174,000 since 2018, I double-checked the years, and massive government benefits, why haven't you paid off your 2011 student loan debt? And why have you incurred such substantial credit card debt? Also, since you have chosen to debunk the clearly false statement that your net worth is $83 million, I presume you'll take the opportunity to debunk the equally false statement that you married your brother to facilitate his immigration into the United States. Surely you will take the opportunity to debunk that misinformation as well, right? Cue up the meme of the skeletons still waiting. So in replies to her threads where you're either getting Ilhan Omar bootlicking sycophants or bot accounts, people are like, how dare you shame her for having credit card debt or student loan? And I'm saying, first of all, idiots, if someone can't manage their own finances, and I would argue carrying student debt 15 years after you are no longer a student, while you're making nearly $200,000 a year, I would consider that to be not efficacious use of funds or management of debt. If you can't manage your own debt and manage your own finances, it behooves you to do it for a country. So, number one, like amassing credit card debt, some people do it out of necessity, and it's the worst type of debt you could possibly amass. The interest rates are usury. Why hasn't she paid off her student loan? Is it because she can't? No, I don't think so, unless she's quite clearly mismanaging the nearly $200,000 a year that she's making. And that doesn't include expenses. That doesn't include health benefits. That doesn't include a ton of stuff that she gets. And they are a lot of expenses through government. Why hasn't she paid it off yet? I'm going to borrow something from a member of our community's wisdom, because it's politically more expedient not to pay off your student debt and to run around crying victimhood because you haven't paid off your student debt, even though you can, because it becomes a political tool, a political cudgel. And so set aside the fact that she could easily pay off that debt, and she should, maybe she shouldn't, depending on the interest rates of her student debt. Credit card debt, absolutely. If she can't manage her funds, she shouldn't be in government managing taxpayer monies. If she chooses not to pay off her student debt so she can use it as a political tool talking point, well, she's playing politics, and therefore I shall as well. And B, or C, whatever we're at here, there is some shady ass shit going on with her monies. Period. Let's bring it back here. The first one here. Est Cru LLC is her husband's partnership in a vineyard in California. Rose Lake Capital is her husband's company. Do you remember? You might remember her husband because he might have been involved in such financial scandals as the ones that are currently unfolding. Hold on one second. Where is it here? Here we go. Minnesota reformer Max Nesterak. June 5th, 2024. Rep. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of swindling investor in their California winery. Tim Minette and his business partner, Will Haylor, denied defrauding the investor, while another company they started owes $1.2 million to cannabis growers in South Dakota. This sounds very interesting. In fall 2021, D.C. area restaurant owner Naeem Mod was presented with an unbelievable investment opportunity. Two political operatives turned venture capitalists would triple Mode's money in just 18 months if he invested $300,000 in their new California winery. The pair had been paid in grapes by a former client and had hired a well-respected Sonoma winemaker to turn those grapes into profit. They promised if they didn't pay Mode back the full $900,000 on time, they would tack on 10% monthly interest on any outstanding balance, according to the contract shared with the reformer. The offer might have seemed suspicious if not for the person making it. Tim Minette, a well-connected political consultant and husband of U.S. Rep. Ilhan Omar, whom he married in 2020. After she allegedly married her brother, we'll get there, don't worry about it. Minette came recommended by Mode's attorney, Faisal Gill, a former Democratic operative himself who knew Minette from his days working with Keith Ellison's congressional campaign. Minette and Gill had been close friends. Omar endorsed Gill in his unsuccessful bid for LA County attorney, and Gill donated $1,000 to yeah, okay. I trusted him, Gill said in an interview. If it was not for Tim, the deal would never have happened. Mode wired $300,000 to Minette, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. With whom he founded a political consultancy called E Street Group. Remember that name? Because they're going to get paid from Ilhan Omar's political campaign. This is incest. You know, it's ironic that Ilhan Omar is accused of having married her brother to facilitate his immigration into America. Wouldn't call that incest unless they consummated, which would be wrong in every sense of the word. This is political corruption, incestuous relationships of the highest order. And it's ironic that it comes with a woman who allegedly married her brother to facilitate his immigration. 18 months came and went without him receiving the 200% return. Minette, yada, yada. Okay, let's see. The complaint, which has not been previously reported, claims the pair, quote, fraudulently misrepresented that Escru LLC was a legitimate company. Hale and Minette deny they defrauded Mode. Rather, they say they simply struggled to build a successful business in a challenging industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. The winery's struggling finances represent a major, significant change in the fortune. The Minette, yada, yada. Okay, still, Haler defended the potential for large returns in the wine business, writing, if investor put X dollars in to allow the company to purchase grapes, and we turn those grapes into bottles of wine. This is, I kind of feel bad for the guy now, because this is kind of, yeah, we got the grapes. Now all we got to do is turn it into wine. And then when we get it turned into wine, it's got to be good wine. Then we got to bottle it. Then we got to package it. Then we got to market it. Then we got to sell it, ship it, and then you get your money back. Holy crab apples. Within minutes of Haler sending responses to the reformers' questions, lawyers for Minette and Haler followed up with a 3-page letter saying they had been retained to help ensure that defamatory falsehoods are not published about them. Any suggestion that Will or Tim deliberately defrauded investors or otherwise conspicuously conspired to rip off people would be false and defamatory, wrote attorneys Mark Thompson and Andy Phillips with the law firm Meyer Watkins Phillips Push. Escru did produce a line of wines with names like Blockchain, Overt, The Devil's Lie. Hold on, is Ilhan Omar a devout Somali Muslim selling wine? Whatever. Okay, so Haler left the reformer brochure saying Escru's accolades and noted with, okay, fine. $1.2 million for weed ventures goes up in smoke. A short-lived winery isn't the only source of financial trouble and litigation for companies connected to Haler and Minette. In April 2023, soon after Stancliffe said she stopped getting paid by Mode, was due, what is that? Let's see here, messing it. 3 of Haler and Minette's other companies agreed to pay $1.7 million to 3 South Dakota marijuana entrepreneurs to settle a lawsuit alleging fraud and breach of contract. The companies, ST Ventures, Badlands Fund, yada, 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 only paid $500,000. That led to a confession of judgment last fall, not previously reported, which was signed by Haler, with the companies admitting they still owed $1.2 million. The marijuana entrepreneurs and their investors are now suing Haler and the companies in Nebraska, where Haler lives, for the remainder. Listen to this. Then we get down to this. In her latest congressional financial disclosure filed in May, Omar reported spousal income in 2023 of $200 to $1,000 from $15,000 to $50,000 from Rose Lake Capital. The modest amount stands in stark contrast to the income Omar reported when she was paying her husband's political consulting firm millions for campaign work. Listen to this. Omar reported spousal income from East Street Group ranging from $100,000 to $1 million in both 2020 and 2021. Oh, lordy. Minette said he was also confronted with a barrage of harassment and intimidation by MAGA extremists. It's amazing how this entire article is about Democrat corruption and financial fraud, alleged financial fraud, potential financial fraud, and it becomes a MAGA pounce story. In the beginning, Minette said he and Haler agreed to a 50-50 split between Est Ventures and other projects. Oh, and it goes on. Holy cows. Okay. So that's what we discovered as a result of merely going down very shallow into that rabbit hole. Here's the link to anybody who wants that article. So yeah, she doesn't own any stock. It's ETFs. And she's a poor baby who still hasn't paid off her student loan, while her husband and his companies received hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to various companies from her campaign, while she received partnership income, but a minimal amount. And this is what happens the second you scratch the surface. And then we get into whether or not she married her brother. Listen to this. I mean, you know it's bad. You know it's bad when even the fakest of fake news has difficulty formally dispelling of the so-called misinformation smear campaign. Listen to this. This is from the Associated Press, by the way. Recipients of USAID monies. Minnesota House hopeful calls marriage fraud claims lies. Oh, that's a good headline. Shall we see what's in the body of this? Minnesota Democrat when was this from, by the way? This is from 2018. Democrat candidate who's poised to become the first Somali American elected to the U.S. House has denounced claims that she married her brother and committed immigration fraud as, quote, disgusting lies, end quote, and says allegations of campaign finance violations are politically motivated. Ilhan Omar, she's running for the 5th district, continues to be dogged by conservatives. It's another conservatives pounce story. Wait until you see the fact that AP, they weren't necessarily funded by USAID money at this point in time, but they've always been a propaganda rag. They can't even adequately dispel of it. They've raised questions about her past. As the election approaches, the attacks are intensifying. Last week, Minnesota Republicans in the 5th district began a digital billboard campaign and launched a website that highlights the allegations, many of which were first raised by conservative media outlets in 2016. Okay, who cares? Omar broadly denied the allegations in a statement to the Associated Press, but declined to provide documents or answer specific questions when pressed. Quote, we choose not to further the narrative of those who oppose us. Hey, well, that's a great way. It's funny. She'll go pounce on the woman who says that she's worth $83 million. That narrative she'll, dispel, but she won't entertain this one. Methinks the lady doth not protesteth at all, because scratch the surface a little more, we might find out that there's a reason why you can't dog these allegations. Adding that she believes the claims were made by people who want to stop a black female Muslim from sitting. My ass, Ilhan. That's right. People were only criticizing Karine Jean-Pierre because she was a black lesbian immigrant woman of color, who identifies as a gay trans man. She faces Republican opponent, yada, yada. Here, listen to this. Conservative bloggers alleged in 2016 that Omar was married to two men at the same time. Polygamy, having more than one wife or husband at once, is illegal in the U.S. A timeline provided by Omar and detailed marriage and divorce records suggests she was not married to two men at once. According to the marriage records in Minnesota's Hennepin County, Omar applied for a license in 2002 to marry her current husband, Ahmed Hirsi, whom Omar says went by Ahmed, a different name at the time. Records show a marriage certificate wasn't issued, and Omar has said they didn't pursue a civil marriage, but instead married in their Muslim faith tradition, in quotes. Details about Omar's faith wedding haven't been made public, but traditional Muslim and Somali marriages typically involve a process that includes approval by elders and a ceremony conducted by an imam. Omar and Hirsi, they have two children. Relationship ended in 2008. Omar then married Ahmed Noor Saeed Elmi, who she said is a British citizen, on February 12, 2009, according to a marriage certificate issued in Hennepin County. Omar said the relationship ended in 2011 and the two divorced in their faith tradition, but Omar didn't take legal action to divorce until 2017. The divorce records say that Omar and Hirsi reunited and a third child together in 2012. Omar legally married Hirsi in 2018, a month after her divorce from Elmi was finalized. How many times has she been married? Conservative online sites have alleged that Elmi is Omar's brother and she married him to commit immigration fraud. It's unclear exactly what type of fraud is alleged. No, it's not. But spouses of U.S. citizens typically have a quicker path to citizenship than siblings, although neither is guaranteed citizenship. In addition, marriage fraud is a federal crime and could result in prison sentence up to 5 years. Sorting out these claims is difficult without access to immigration records, birth certificates, or other documents that could prove parentage or family lineage. In response to a Freedom of Information Act, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration, yada, yada, said records about these individuals cannot be released without written permission from the individual. Omar's campaign has said she and others can't get birth certificates because the infrastructure in Somalia collapsed during the civil war, and that displaced over 2 million Somalis. It's amazing. They can't be disproven. Omar and her campaign have declined to provide the AP with a list of her siblings, but she said she has publicly that she is the youngest of 7 children. Elmi's birth date on the couple's marriage certificate would make him 3 years younger than her. Omar said in 2016, insinuations that Elmi is my brother are absurd and offensive. Well, nobody cares if they're offensive. And easy way to prove if it's absurd. And then there's more that she committed perjury, yada, yada, yada. Campaign finance questions. More recently, a Republican state representative has accused Omar of misuse of campaign funds, including $3,000 in campaigns money on personal travel. But she's a poor baby. She can't pay off her student loans with the remaining $174,000 pre-tax of her salary. I think we got the gist of it. So that's what happens when you scratch the surface, people. Scoundrels, hypocrites, and liars.